Hello and welcome to Big Picture. I am Vishal Dahiya and today we will talk about the political lineup and the alliances for the biggest electoral battle, that is the general elections 2019. Now, the biggest electoral battle has begun with the announcement of dates by the Election Commission of India. This time around, it is going to be a 7-phase poll spread across 2 months. The first phase of polling will take place on 11th of April, and the last and the 7th phase will happen on 19th of May. People's verdict will be declared on 23rd of May. While ruling BJP, led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is seeking re-election for another 5-year term, the main opposition, Congress, is hoping to improve upon its all-time low strength of 44, which it secured in 2014 elections. But apart from these two national parties, there are several other players in the field like TMC, Samajwadi Party, BSP, BJD, TDP, TRS, DMK and AIADMK and some others who have a significant presence and political clout in their respective home turfs. In fact, there have been efforts in the past 1 year to cobble up a non-BJP, non-Congress alliance of regional parties. Both BJP and Congress, on their part, have been busy for some time now, stitching alliances with some regional parties to bolster the strength of their respective coalitions, namely the NDA and the UPA. So how is the road ahead from here onwards for all these political players, and what is the lineup going to be for the forthcoming electoral battle? For more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of guests today. Let me start by introducing them to you, beginning with Professor Sunil Chaudhary, our political analyst today in the studio. We also have with us Ms. Shekhar Iyer, senior journalist, and Aditi Fatnis, political editor of Business Standard. Aditi, let me begin with you to try and understand the lineup. Now that the dates are out and we all know as to, which area will go to polls when, and the alliances are also getting, firmed up in one way or the other on both sides. How do you see the, playground, political playground being dotted with the political players for the next 2 months?
Well, it's a little difficult to say because certainly both sides are well matched. The NDA alliance, some of the allies have walked out, but the others are intact. Although I have to say that in Punjab, for instance, a sitting Shiromani Akali Dal MP from Firozpur has crossed over to the Congress. This is not a good augury for the prospects of the SAD, for the Shiromani Akali Dal. Also, on the other side, there are, going to be a number of leaders who will join the Congress and are also going to join the alliance. So, but there are 3 parties which are very important, which have not indicated which way they will swing. The TRS is not indicated which way it will go. The YSR Congress has said it will neither join the BJP nor the Congress. So, what is it going to do? We don't know. And the Biju Janata Dal has also said that it's going to possibly remain equidistanced. So we have to see now what view these parties take.
Okay. Shekhar, do you see this time around it's going to be, a different scenario, maybe in different states because of the regional players playing a more important role? It's not like the UPA versus NDA sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think regional players will have, because if you look at the states like, say, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and or even Karnataka, where there is another regional player who is in alliance with Congress, then you have West Bengal, you have Trinamool, Odisha, you have Naveen Patnaik. So some of these regional parties and their leaders, they are going to play their cards close to their chests, which means they will wait and see what is the final outcome and how it shapes up. And they would like to be part of any, I would say, a formation which is closer to the striking distance of forming the next government. Of course, the overall what appears is, see, Congress position is such that the 2014 was probably its most bottom performance. So definitely there is a mood in the Congress that we are going to, we can't be worse than what happened in 2014. So there is going to be improvements. So therefore, their campaign is focused on seeing how much can they maximize their gains, as well as see and look at which are the weak spots for the BJP. and try to increase their own tally. But at the same time, a lot of Congress focus is to ensure that BJP's numbers are not allowed to grow or are not even allowed to be what it was in 2014. So this is the kind of thing. But now that the dates have been announced, I would also look at the candidates, because of course you have a big picture, but then elections are fought on the basis of the candidates. Who are the candidates? Where are they contesting from? And which party they represent? Because that also plays a lot of part in the voter choosing his member of parliament.
Okay, Professor Chaudhary, do you see, as both our panelists are also pointing out, that this time around it's Modi versus Congress versus others?
That is true, but let me just point out that parliamentary elections are different from the assembly elections, and we find tandem voting, that voters voting in the assembly elections may not vote in the same way for the Lok Sabha elections. Secondly, I think the first elections where voters are going to vote in two ways. A, voters as individuals, and B, voters as households. So the voters actually become the beneficiaries. So this may basically bring about a lot of transformation in all across states. So it's difficult to say that which party is going to be the beneficiary out of the support in the elections. BJP seems to be in a better position because its strong allies like JDU in Bihar or Maharashtra, Shiv Sena, and to some extent Shiromani Akali Dal as well. And BJP is on strongholds in those states because still there are 50% of the states and UTs where BJP is ruling either as the main party or as coalitional allies. So from that perspective, sees that BJP can have better chances because these voters as household voters and voters as individual voters, whose number has actually grown phenomenally. If you can just make a comparison, the first time voters in 2014, it appeared to be 2.3 crores, 2 crore 30 lakh voters, first time voters, those who have just got 18 years of age. And from 18 to 23 years of age, there were around 15 crores voters. But this, there has been a change in this first time voters. Recently it has come out that 1 crore 50 lakh voters has come out for the first time who are going to vote. They are the voters who were born in 21st century. So if we just make a comparison from last to 2014 to 2019, so young voters from 18 first time voters till 28, this number would be very, very significant. That's going to bring about decisive change in the electoral results.
Okay, we'll come to the young voters and the assembly and the Lok Sabha election, that calculation a little later. But coming back to and staying with the Modi versus Congress versus others kind of scenario which is emerging, Aditi, if you look at BJP, the ruling party, yes, a positive is that they have a decisive leadership. But it's going to be, a bit difficult for them to go ahead and sustain those numbers, specifically in states like Uttar Pradesh.
Well, numbers is one thing, but striking alliances and cobbling together alliance partners is in itself a very complex skill. And we have seen people trying to do it. We have seen people do it very successfully. Pramod Mahajan was the ultimate deals man. He was the one who brought Shiv Sena into the BJP family. Now many of these parties have become antagonistic and not happy with BJP. Alliance politics is a very peculiar kind of politics. So you need to grow your party, but you can't allow the alliance partner to, the tail cannot wag the dog. At the same time, you need to respect your alliance partner because your gains are dependent on their gains and so on.
But the BJP seems to be one step ahead of Congress in those terms because they've managed to retain these long-term allies, although they might have lost one or two as well, and stitched a few more as well down south if you look at Tamil Nadu.
Well, I mean, Tamil Nadu was, I think they didn't have a choice, and the BJP has nothing to lose or nothing to gain in Tamil Nadu except the alliance partners. But I think the loss is significant because in the past, alliance partners don't go away from you so easily if you keep them in good humor. So I think a very important part of this whole exercise is going to be the NDA having a campaign, an alliance manager.
Okay.
The BJP President Amit Shah is supposed to have carried out that role. But I'm really not sure if the alliance partners are that comfortable with the BJP president.
Okay. Shekhar?
Well, you see, I think we have to bear one thing in mind is, you see, all these alliance parties, who were recalcitrant, I would say, like Shiv Sena, they were always, their posturing was more seemed to be bargaining for them to get the right number of seats. And also the Shiv Sena was insisting on a simultaneous election to Maharashtra Assembly. Now that the BJP did not allow, because now the Maharashtra Assembly elections will take place only in November when they are due. So what we are going to see is, definitely BJP has an energy to its campaign, which is given by the Prime Minister. Now that kind of energy I don't see in any other party. So therefore, even for these allies who may have problems with BJP, they would also like to drive some advantage from that energy that Prime Minister Modi will bring to the campaign, to the NDA campaign. Therefore, but similarly, matching energy, as yet I am yet to see either in the Congress or in any other party. See, that is very important, because our Prime Minister has shown that he is capable of sustaining this energy, no matter how many meeting addresses.
Okay.
So a lot of it will also depend on how this energy is sustained, because this energy provides enthusiasm to the workers on the ground. And also, BJP has always been one up on terms of booth level management, having workers, because that is one area where Amit Shah has been specializing for a long time.
Okay.
But the problem and the challenge for the BJP is, even in 2014, which was one of the best elections, you had what is called the Modi wave. See, in terms of percentage, it was only 31%. Now, 31% with the Modi wave, they could get to 82. Now, this time, no one is yet to see a wave. There may be factors that favor BJP, there are some factors that favors opposition. But unless the BJP is able to improve this voting percentage beyond, because today's scenario, 31% may not give you same 282 seats. It may be lesser. So BJP has to increase its electoral percentage.
Okay.
That would need a lot of door-to-door campaigning. That would need a lot of mobilizing voters at the booth level, which is going to be a very big challenge this time.
Okay. Coming back to you, Aditi, on the alliances part, you spoke about BJP. How do you look at, the Congress's dilemma there? A lot of talk was happening about Mahagathbandhan, but ultimately they're not part of that alliance in Uttar Pradesh, which has Samajwadi Party and Bahujan Samaj Party. They'll be fighting it on their own. In West Bengal as well, it seems a bit difficult there for them to go ahead and stitch that alliance.
Certainly, it's going to be very difficult, and in West Bengal, the party is going from bad to worse in terms of organizational strength as well as in terms of morale. Because obviously, if you're a member of a party, you want to represent the party as the party. You don't want to represent it as part of a coalition, and you have to make compromises when you're in a coalition. And as a party worker, you don't want to do that. So it's very complicated, and the same goes for UP. UP, I don't think the party is going to contest in more than 20 odd seats, seriously, because it needs to assert itself. The other alliance partners will not let it assert itself. That's why it's going alone. If it goes alone, it cannot spread itself thin all over the state. It has to concentrate its strength in certain areas. So I guess the CWC, which is on tomorrow, will give us some clues about what the party strategy is going to be in UP. But you're right, it doesn't look too good.
It doesn't look too good for the Congress. Professor Chaudhary, the alliance part of it, and as explained by Aditi and as Shekhar is also pointing out, how do you see things moving ahead? Because we know that there is a UPA, there is a NDA as well. But when we talk about third front, the federal front, it gets talked about, and then the entire things get disintegrated again.
The issue of leadership third front is not united, it's a scattered front. And second, when we talk about Uttar Pradesh, because that's the biggest state which gave BJP very thumping majority there in the last elections. But BJP may not be getting the number of seats which it got in 2014, but I think it could just manage some of those seats from other states like Orissa, where BJP has started strengthening its organization right from the beginning itself. And its alliance with the PMK and others in Tamil Nadu would also give some edge to the party vis-a-vis DMK. And when we talk about Uttar Pradesh, because Uttar Pradesh SP and BSP are not contesting along with Congress. So we have got triangular contest, BJP on one hand, Congress on the other, and SP and BSP on the other front. So from that perspective, we could say that BJP may not be the biggest loser over there and Congress may not be the gainer over there, and that could equally apply to SP and BSP as well. And thirdly, I would say that in 50s, 60s, we used to have Tina factor. There is no alternative. That Tina factor applied to the Congress, that there was no alternative to the Congress. Now, when we talk about leadership, Narendra Modi's leadership of BJP, so that applies across board that there is no competent visionary leader who could stand for the post of Prime Minister vis-a-vis Narendra Modi ji.
Okay.
That would make a difference for the elections.
That could make a difference, having a strong leader. But Shekhar, do you see, as Professor Chaudhary is pointing out, that when it comes to states like Uttar Pradesh and when there is a triangular contest with BJP, Congress and some other alliance like SP, BSP in Uttar Pradesh and maybe we might see it in other states, regional parties fighting on their own. So that would be a beneficial situation for the ruling party?
Yeah, possibly, because there's one more thing about, I think, the UP alliance, which we need to take into account, which is, see, SP-BSP alliance, given the kind of the social arithmetic in Uttar Pradesh. Now, this is not exactly a social alliance. This is a political alliance between two leaders, that is Mayawati and Akhilesh Yadav. Now, this election is going to see whether this political arrangement between two leaders, this political alliance, can it get converted into social alliance? Because after all, Samajwadi Party, represents predominantly Yadavs and Mayawati represents the Dalits. So we will have to wait and see what Kanshiram and Mulayam Singh Yadav attempted in the mid-90s and failed. Can the Bua and Bhatija can attempt it in 2019? Because that's going to be very important. If it turns out to be a social alliance, where the Yadavs are also willing to vote for BSP Dalit candidates, just as BSP voters are known to vote for whomever Mayawati blesses, I think that will be a great turning point in Indian politics. Because if it gives rise to a sustainable social alliance, I think you're going to see a lot of twists and turns as far as national politics are concerned in this election.
Okay. Aditi, if you look at other states in the Hindi heartland, apart from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, states like Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, they went to polls recently wherein, BJP was voted out of power in the states, Congress gained power. But as Professor Chaudhary was pointing out, that when it comes to Lok Sabha elections, general elections is an entire different ballgame than the assembly polls.
Yeah, I would completely agree with him that it's a very different set of reasons for people voting in a particular way. It would be very wrong to extrapolate an assembly election result on a Lok Sabha possible outcome. But having said that, I think people in the assembly were voting against incumbents. They were fed up, they were angry, they had had enough. But in the Lok Sabha election, they are going to look at the picture of Narendra Modi, listen to everything he has to say, evaluate in their own minds what he has done and what his government has done for them. One thing I have to say, that you may not agree with the politics of Narendra Modi, but you have to give it to him that he has managed to establish a place for himself which is akin to people thinking that there's somebody out there who's looking out for us, who is taking care of us.
A decisive leader.
Not just decisive, also understanding where the shoe pinches and
connect with the masses.
That's right, connecting with that, correcting that pain. So that has a very strong appeal. And if the balance of advantage is in favor of Narendra Modi, it is this understanding or this realization of people that whatever we may have done in the assembly election, in the Lok Sabha, we need to give this man a second chance. Yes, there are many things he has done wrong, many things that have hurt us, many things that because of inexperience or just plain neglect, this government has not been able to do in a proper sequence. But the intention is not being doubted.
Okay, so that will be a very important factor. Shekhar, on this point about how people voted for assembly polls and people might vote for Lok Sabha elections in these states, and also let's not forget that there are 4 states which are going to, assembly polls simultaneously, states like Andhra Pradesh, Odisha. So there as well, it'll matter a lot.
Yeah, it will matter a lot, but then you cannot completely rule out the national mood and the national I would say fervor, somewhat impinging upon the choices that are made for state governments also. But it will also depend on who is the main player. Like in Odisha, the main player is BJD. BJP is a challenger, Congress is a challenger, but none of them have not been able to, corner Naveen Patnaik to a situation where in the state election too, they are big factors. So that is one point. So there will be, I would say, in states where there will be a mix of national and the state issues. And it's possible because of Prime Minister Modi's own campaign, because he brings in more and more the national issues to the fore. The voter could be thinking of the national choice and also decide how he should go for the states.
Okay. So ultimately, we move around and come back and settle with the Prime Minister and his personality. Again, it looks like it's going to be a big positive factor for the BJP. But Professor Chaudhary, you raised this initial point of how the voting pattern in assemblies and Lok Sabha elections is entirely different, and both our panelists are agreeing with it. But as Shekhar was pointing out, if you look at states which are going to polls, like Odisha, is it going to matter a lot? We might say, do we expect a different pattern out there?
Okay, like we can just focus on three important things at state level and the national level. A, when we talk about issues, the issues of development and governance besides local issues could have been important for the assembly elections. I'm talking about governance and development as part of issues for the assembly elections. But for 2019, besides development governance, the issue of national security has become important. So this may bring about a perceptible change in the mindset of voters when they go for elections for the assembly as well as for the Lok Sabha. Secondly, the size of constituencies matters a lot, because the assembly constituencies size is slightly smaller than the size for the parliamentary constituencies. So here, the coalition, the different voters, different castes and different communities vote differently, because they may be the beneficiaries of the local politics, but when they talk about security, nationalism and other issues, they would focus on someone who could basically lead the nation, and there the national leadership in terms of Narendra Modi ji could have been the important appealing factor for them.
Okay.
And thirdly, how the governments take up the honesty and care in distribution of tickets, because if you see three elections, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan, where BJP lost, you could have seen that Nota was more than the votes were received by the Congress and the BJP in terms of the winning strategy. So I believe that the number of tickets, how the tickets are being distributed to the candidates. So if political parties take care of them, and the winnability should be more important for parties when they distribute tickets, because this time each and every ticket is given to the voters or given to the candidates by the parties must be very important for them.
So the choice of candidates is going to be very, very important factor as well. Aditi, coming back to that, block which we call in political journalistic parlance others. You mentioned some regional parties. If we talk about their influence in this election, and how do you see, and what specific players do you see might be very, very important ones, both in the pre-poll scenario, poll scenario, and the post-poll scenario as well?
Well, post-poll scenario, it's very difficult to say who will cross the river, who will go to the other side. It's really hard to say at this point. But there are objective reasons why people are turning away both from the BJP and the Congress, because it's the primary enemy and the secondary enemy. So BJD has no choice. It has to remain kind of walk the middle of the road. Similarly, Mamata Banerjee has the BJP on one side, the Congress on the other. She cannot ostensibly, clearly, overtly make a choice. Similarly, in the case of TRS, okay, in Telangana, the BJP is not a rising force, a waning force. In the assembly election, which was just held in 2018, the BJP came down from 5 seats in the assembly to 1 seat. So it's a force which needs to do a lot of organizational work before it can assert itself as a kind of a regular opponent to TRS. And till such time as it does that, I guess shaking hands with TRS is, discretion is the better part of valor. So the only thing is, in the case of the TRS, it's a package deal.
Okay.
If you shake hands with TRS, you need to shake hands with MIM as well, and this is a big problem. So we have to see how that maneuver is managed.
Will eventually manage. So, Shekhar, final word from you on how important or how realistically these regional players, you see them playing their part? And will they have to go one notch further ahead to present themselves as a credible option against the UPA or the NDA?
Yeah, but because none of these others have been able to emerge as even as a grouping, have been able to emerge as an alternative. But I think other thing, Vishal, I would want to focus attention, which is, see, 3-4 months ago or even 6 months ago, it was this individual prime ministerial ambition which was powering their, national ambitions and their strategies. But today, a lot of those ambitions looks dissipated because of the national mood, following what happened in Pulwama, then subsequent to that, and then also the kind of aggressive campaign that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has mounted. It looks like a completely different scenario now. But as the campaign moves forward, I would like to see these regional parties are still retaining their prime ministerial ambition as the main goal. Are they going to just ensure their home ground is protected and they stay on in power in those places?
Okay, so clearly, as our panelists are pointing out, that after the announcement of dates by the Election Commission and the way it has set the ball rolling, the onus now lies on all these political parties, and it's going to be interesting to see as to what different tactics will they play in the field for campaigning and also their choice of candidates, because these are the two aspects which will matter most to decide as to which way will the voters swing. We'll come back again tomorrow with a different topic, different set of guests. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.